Okay, let's see if this works. Okay, now we can see this. Okay, still unlisted, but we should be able to see some video there. Great, we've got the video. So now we get this running. Is that working? Seems to be very slow. Okay, so we get a bit of a lag here. Great. So now, hoping this will work, we shall take this and no, don't want to end stream. Want to edit, details, customization, gaming, unlisted. Okay, let's see if this works. Okay, changes saved. Right, so great. Let's get this running. And okay, so we got the simulation running now. Okay, we got this. Cool. Now, wonder if the chat will start coming in. I don't know. Oh, where is my spaceship? There it is, there. Cool, we actually have this. Cool. Hi, hello. I'm just flying some kittens around, to be honest. There's some learning curve here. The keys are somewhat similar to Kerbal Space Program, but there we go. Is the kitten going to be okay? Probably not. Although, you know, like, to be fair... Wait a second, I gotta do that. I gotta remember how to do this. There we go. And then thrust backwards a bit. And then let's just turn... Let's just to manual. Let's turn this way. Oh. Oh, that's a translate. Wait, how's that a translate? I want to rotate. Okay. Keep my boy safe. Yeah, alright, let's do this. So let's... null rotation. How do we do this? There we go. Manual rotate. I gotta disable this. Okay. I want to try and turn this thing around. Let's actually point separate direction. Okay. There we go. Come back! Come back! Well, we'll get to some real stuff, but I really want to show you that this is, in fact, a Kitten space agency. This is... So, as you may have heard, some people have decided that they are going to create a total, like, successor to Kerbal Space Program with Kittens. Now, not everyone agrees that kittens are the best things to go to space, but, you know, we're going to go with it for now, right? Anyway, look, this is your kitten in orbit, right? Yes. It's kind of fascinating. Let's talk like radial inwards. Ah! We're gonna get some real spaceships flying soon in a minute, right? So this is exceptionally pre-alpha. But it is a technology demonstrator, so there's a whole planet down there that we can go to. So actually, let's switch to a spacecraft which has some capabilities. Oops, let me hide Steam. So I just clicked on a window that's outside my field of view, and it's somehow I can't minimize it. That's great. Let's kill that as well. So we got a rocket here. Let's bring our throttle down. Let's actually try to... You didn't know that I'm totally a video game streamer. How do you think I got known first? So let's actually fly this around the Earth and we'll try to land somewhere where there's land. Unfortunately, there's no land that's daylight right now. So we're going to have to like wait a bit of time. So we can accelerate time and just watch this happen, right? So simulation will run faster. So this is currently available on their website. There's no building as far as I know, or at least they've talked about the building. But we've got a bunch of pre-built spaceships. We have an entire solar system to explore. In fact, if I zoom out, we have Earth here. We have the moon, obviously. Oh, no, I think I just selected Earth and the moon. So I might have to reload the game if I want to just do more than the Earth and the Moon. That was foolish on my part. That is my bad. I'm sorry. Let's slow the time down. I'm still on the far side of the oh no, I want to wait for the Earth to rotate around so that we can actually see some daylight. Earth-centered universe. Well, we could go to the sun, I guess. We'll show you how stable it is. I'm gonna actually land on the land if the thing will let me. There we go. Look, we got the Middle East starting to come out, right? So let's stop around there, and we'll perform re-entry and landing over this. There we go. So we're coming towards the sunset, right? So let's run simulation at regular speed. We shall to point backwards in the orbit so the RCS thrusters are kicking in. Yeah, there's basically, yeah, you need ridiculous amounts of graphics memory to run everything. So we're in a position where we can fire the engines, so let's fire up the engines. So my periapsis is not dropping. That's interesting. I thought my periapsis would drop. Oh, you know what? We are looking at Hunter the cat. So what I need to do is look at show orbit celestial info Gemini 7. Gemini 7. The periapsis is minus 95. I might have overcooked that a little. And so I'm going to land a little early, which is not ideal. Actually, that's interesting. That's interesting. I fired my engine there, and it says I'm going to impact over there. So I guess I'm just going to wait until I get to the target. Pulse RCS is addicting to use. It's updating my impact point. It's applying the impact point, I guess, based on understanding of things. Let's throttle down a little. I can't throttle down in the map mode. That's interesting. So it's thrust to weight ratio of 1. Well, I guess what's going to happen is we're going to fly around and then we'll just start firing the engine as daylight comes. So let's watch the sunset. There we go. Actually, you know what? I'm going to fire my engine a little more now. We're just going to go straight down here, whatever's here. Yeah, there's a lot of features. So their technology is pretty impressive in terms of the the modeling of space and everything. So we have a thrust to weight ratio of 1. Let's actually just try to land it before we get to the thing here. I'm using the lowest thrust setting available on this. So you'll notice that we have ridiculous amounts of propellant. I'm running at relatively high. There's maximum thrust where you have 21 G deceleration. Oh. Why is the simulation running at full speed? Interesting. So what is my I'm looking at periapsis. It says it should be straight down. Oh, that's great. Orbital velocity. Let's do retrograde. There we go. So this is me more or less falling straight down now. I'm just trying to figure out where all the numbers... I have looked at this before, right? To be clear, I've looked at a lot of stuff in this, but I'm still trying to figure out a lot of things. When we get... Actually, what we should do is backwards relative to the surface velocity, because we're going to be coming down over land. So we're coming down at 1 kilometer per second. There is in-game sound. Oh, why is the... here, let me actually fix something a second. This is a problem that we keep having with... Here's the sound. There is sound. So there's a problem that we have with Open Broadcaster where it keeps on grabbing the wrong device. And that's because I have my audio system set up for flight simulators a lot of the time. So, and the way that is I have the stuff that comes over my headset is the voice communications, but the game audio comes from speakers around me. So, so that I can be like, I can hear the plane, and then I can have the communications coming in over my headset. So let's fire those engines to start deceleration a little. That's what's going on. I'm looking at the wrong spaceship on the map, which is kind of funny. It's interesting my speed is not slowing down that much. Okay, there we go. I mean, I would be happy to go back to Kerbal Space Program. Hey, Lesky Station has dropped in with a super thanks for $9 or whatever. Been watching you for a decade now. Really happy you're choosing to pursue YouTube full time. Hope it continues to be a prosperous endeavor for you. I was actually going to be going out flying today, and then I noticed that one of the other people in my flying club has booked the plane, so I guess I'm not flying. Now we're gonna descend and see what happens. We're gonna land in the middle of the desert. This game is called Kitten Space Agency. It is by Rocketworks. That is Dean Hall's game, production studio. He's a big fan of Kerbal Space Program. He has secured the services of all the most important Kerbal developers. So he's creating essentially a successor to Kerbal Space Program, and his priority is to build the underlying technology first and then build everything else on top of it, right? So, this is important because Kerbal Space Program 2 didn't really address a lot of those issues, which is unfortunate. It really is. Like, Kerbals were so identifiable for such a long time, but unfortunately, yeah, the devs... I'll be honest. The devs may not have done a great job, but the marketers really missed a lot. I think, actually, I know you can burn during time warp. I'm trying to keep, trying to sense this. This is the lowest thrust that is available on this thing. How do you land it? We're going to have to do a hover slam. Okay, I'm going to shut the engine down for a bit. There is I've seen the mod that includes Kerbals already. So we're 20 kilometers up. This is Kitten Space Agency. Let's double it to a thrust to weight of 2.3. There's drag in the atmosphere, I expect. We will. Yeah, look, we get small amounts of thrust on this. Look at the RCS thrusters trying to keep me straight here. I'm sure there's a lot of things going to happen. And that is a good sign that we have a lot of people just volunteering to add stuff to it. So you can, in fact, go to the Kitten Space Agency site and download the demo. Download the alpha. You can also donate to keep the project running. They would really love to put this together and essentially have it completely free to schools and stuff like that. Take-Two mismanaged KSP terribly. Then again, I'm going to say that the original developers squad did not exactly do a great job either. So yeah. I like balance because I like large enough dead zones that I'm not going to burn all my propellant. The people inside the ship will also be kittens, right? Okay, 8 kilometers up, 100 meters per second. Let's see how quickly that decelerates. That's super easy. I'm sure it will be relatively... I know you have a huge amount of propellant. Watch me. I'm going to be able to take this thing off and go back to orbit. And then I will probably be able to go to the moon. And it won't be the mun. It will be the moon. Now I realized I'm coming down and I don't know if my altimeter is Geo, whatever. Local position, third. Or is there a place to see my altitude relative to the surface, or I'm gonna have to totally just guess it? There's probably a button somewhere that switches me to radar altimeter. Local position, rotation, axial, retrograde, times. Yeah, 1,000 kilometers per second of stuff. Yeah, we're gonna have to go to old school shadow navigation that we used to have in the old days, where you would pick a landing spot based upon it looking kind of good, and then suddenly the shadow would come out of nowhere, and you realize that you had been fooled by the scale of the planet. It is relative to the surface. I just don't see any indication. I don't know. And of course, as a pilot, I'm like, is it AGL? Is it sea? Is it, GPS? What kind of altitude is it? Okay, so we got lowest thrust descent here, and we should be fine. Coming down. There's my shadow there. See it? The only way I can think to actually control this thing for a soft landing... Uh-oh. Darn. Oh no. I gotta point upwards. Up. Watch this. Let's see if we can get out of here. Okay. That's not what I hoped. I wonder if I can... Let's null the rotation. Yeah, no legs on this. What I find interesting, by the way, is if you look at this section here with these engines, it actually kind of looks like the Soviet lander engine with its, RCS control system. We're going full Starliner, yes. Okay. Manual thruster controls. Okay, let's turn this off. Manual. Yeah, I get nothing here. Let's go and find another spaceship. Okay. This is no good because it's got no engines. This, I don't know where this is. There's a day. Let's. I'm sure it's somewhere around here. I'm sure we will find the soon enough. Oh, there's lights there. There we go. What is this? Okay, we have another one of these in orbit. Excellent. By the way, thanks to Alvin Friesen 4918. I've no idea what PYG is, but it says it's about $7, so that's cool. I appreciate it. That's probably what this beer costs, to be honest. It is somewhat based on a Titan upper stage. Okay, so let's go back to orbit. We're going to go prograde, right? And the simulation is paused. Oh, wait a second. Had I paused the simulation? Is that why the thing was not turning? Why am I not live on Twitch? Because nobody gives me money on Twitch. Come on. This is where my audience is. This is where everyone that loves me, right? It's the currency of Paraguay. That's interesting. I am fascinated. So now, let's just try and freewheel our way to the moon, right? It says Lunar. So, first of all, let's do universe, again, vessel, and view. Orbit lines. I could do a transfer planner to the moon. Source, rocket, destination, Luna. Calculate. What does it come up with? Okay, didn't come up with anything. Preview selected transfer. Okay, I guess it's got it. That's pretty good. Right, so how do I actually activate this? That'll be a good question. Preview select transfer flight plan. Good. Okay. Select belt create. Oh, okay, we got it. We have a plan to actually fire this stuff. Now, let's bring this back and view Celestial Info Rocket. Rocket. Can we see the cats? We could see the cats. Let's see if the cats are there. There's a cat. Unfortunately, it's in the dark. Let's point behind it. There, so you'll be able to see the face coming into view. Look at that. Is that not a... Look at that! Pure cinema! Pure cinema! Ah! That's right. Okay, so anyway, this thing. Now we have... Here's the thing. How do I... Is there a way that I can actually... It doesn't seem to have created this target thing. Do I have to target the moon, actually? Maybe that's what I do. Let's go and select the moon. Nope. I don't know. Maybe there's a way to do this. I have figured out many things. Can I get a meow in the chat? Meow! Meow! I'm also in terms of cat games, I'm also interested in Mewgenics, by the way, because, you know, I kind of like the people involved in that, so I'm fully ready to support their thing. Would the maneuver be called Mecha Cat? Oh, yeah, probably should do that. There we go. We set the target. It's created the maneuver. Preview Lambert transfer. Create. Select best delta to show parent target alignment. Okay, so I presume it's created this maneuver, but I don't see anything. Time to mark. Here we go. Burn control. Positive delta, those points towards the burn direction. There we go. That's how we do it. This is our maneuver here. So we get 47 minutes until our maneuver. We get 23-second burn. But I might actually throttle this down. As I throttle down, it recalculates the burn. So I'm going to use a lower throttle because it will increase the accuracy, right? I know I'm going to need to learn how to use this. I'm just like totally digging into real life science papers and stuff all the time. But disclosure, what? Disclosure, what? What are you talking? It is definitely more. Are you flying safe? I'm definitely flying safe for now. So that's about right. Notice how it says time to mark is about 46 minutes. So that means it's basically on the other side of the orbit, and it'll be a prograde burn. So of course we're pointing retrograde at this time. Now, as the orbit goes around, we will maintain this pointing, I expect. Right? Oh, the DJ set was amazing. Unfortunately, this is YouTube, so I can't share any of the... I don't want to do an auto burn. I want to do it manually. Why would I want to do a burn? You know. I'm sort of enjoying just watching the terrain fly by. I know I can do that. I know I can push these buttons. It's an engine called Brutal. It is developed by someone who really likes their technology more than sometimes the game, let's say. Yeah, the Earth looks pretty darn nice from here. Oh, look, wait a second. Wait, I see a mistake. Why is there an injector plate? That's not right. Oh my god, literally unplayable. That rocket engine design does not make any sense. Literally unplayable. We're gonna go to Luna. We are lunatics. I'm totally doing this as a manual burn. Why not? Like, if I miss it... Yeah, the injector is in the nozzle. The injector is after... Like, this before the... It should be before the throat. In this case, it's after the throat. How did that creep into this? They have experts on their team that should know this. I love you guys, but, you know, you might want to ask some rocket people to design the parts. This exact same thing happened with Veritasium. He paid for, like, some fancy graphics guys to do some art for, like, a Saturn V F1 engine. And they literally bought a model, and then they changed it to have no throat. No combustion chamber and throat. I was like, really? Come on. Start burn in 14 seconds. We're doing this manually. Are we ready for this? It's exciting. 3, 2, 1. Mark! There we go. Excellent. Look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful thrust. Okay, burn time is counting down. Delta V is counting down as well. You can't see nothing. That's because it's nighttime. It's not actually a particularly realistic plume, but I like it nevertheless. Yes, I've dropped it down to 18% throttle because I want a realistic burn time. That's why. This default throttle is just way too high. It's like, let's put an F1 engine on an Apollo capsule and you're going to get ridiculous thrust levels. Veritasium may well be owned by VC these days. They give me plenty of Delta V. Just look at the propellant ticking down. Extraordinary. Look at the Delta V. It's like 1,360 kilometers per second. No, I did. I actually tried intentionally throttling the engine down. And the thing recalculated the maneuver based on that. The New Glenn thrust to weight ratio exists. That's all I'm gonna say. You know, New Glenn, they have a lot of room to improve those BE4 engines. I would expect they're running at like half the chamber pressure of the Raptor, if I remember correctly. Yes, I think the planets in this can have obliquity of their inclination. It's not that the planets didn't have inclination, it's just that the poles could not have non-zero obliquity. Slightly past it. Okay, good. So actually, I wonder if I can... I guess it doesn't respond. So let me see where we are. So we're slightly overcooked it. Looks like we're going to get there in time, though. I might have to reload the thing. So let's actually take a look at this prediction. If I adjust my throttle now, is there a way to actually fire the engine while I'm in this mode? So, is there a way to actually... Now, is there a way to clear this prediction? That's a good point. This is on YouTube, no? I'll just make it public afterwards for people that want to chill out and relax and watch me talk about stuff. Okay. This is my partners in the plane saying, the tires look good today. Click on Control Rocket top right. Control Rocket, okay. Okay. There we go. So look, if I just do... I thought that would move this. So I'm arriving slightly later. And the periaps is actually increased. Oh! Oh, I dropped out of the map mode. Hold on. I'm doing it wrong. I'm pushing the wrong button. There we go. I'm just using the RCS thrusters to get as close to the moon as possible. I'm surprised the orbit solution it gave us... Oh, you know what? I asked it to minimize delta V. So anyway, who did watch New Glenn launch live? It was extraordinarily exciting. Wow! Centaurity is number 47! Shouldn't Centaurity be like number 100? So I'm just adding... Yeah, you see how the delta V is increasing slowly? So I actually am increasing this here for this maneuver. So yeah, it's gonna like put us right close to the moon. It was very exciting, very pretty. I also like the fact that when it landed, after it landed, we got some great photos showing that it is a very, very clean rocket. Click ignite at the bottom to use the engine in the map view. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that because I'm using the RCS intentionally. Blue Glen. See, at this point, like, the very, very small changes in my velocity are making very, very big changes in the orbit. So I want to, like, not come in too close or too fast. You want to make the changes as tiny as possible. Okay, we're coming in. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Bang. That's pretty good. 100 kilometers. Release control. Okay, so now... we're focused on the rocket. And I can delete this burn. That's how I do it. Excellent. So now I know what I'm doing. And I'm in the dark. There's stars there. Where is the surface? So now I need to sort of know. That's looking up. It's looking down. And if I point as retrograde... I think that's the direction we'll be going. Because I want to see... This, of course, will adjust my closest approach. Good to know. What is my thoughts on KSA at the current state? I think that I need to spend a lot more time working on it to actually understand what's going on. Yeah, we should definitely take a look at Honda's rockets. It's interesting that there's actually a bunch of different Japanese companies now sort of throwing around their own ideas of rockets. Just want to check that our... Uh-oh. Yeah, no, we're fine. Still 200 kilometers. Excellent. That's good. So I think if I run the clock now forwards, that's coming that way. So the sun will rise soon up over here, and we'll be on our way to the moon. And again, real moon, not the mun. How accurate are the physics in KSP2 are as accurate as the physics in KSP1. In fact, probably less so because it's missing a bunch of features that KSP1 had. The main thing that KSP2 brought to the table was some really cool like presentation, like the big space center and some art and some other ideas. Yeah, I'm looking for the sun to rise. That's my thing. There we go. It's always nice to see the sun rising. Oh, interesting that we're still in the dark, even though the sun has risen. That might be a problem. Oh, there we go. Finally. I think the shadow calculations need a bit of work. I think this does more than 2 body gravity for sure. So now, it's going to take me all this time to get out to the moon. So can I click on this? I don't want to delete this burn. No. Delete burn. I can click on anywhere and create a burn, I guess. Right? Is there a way to warp? I could just warp to here, right? No? Actually, if I go... hold on, delete this. Let's go here. Warp to the next SOI change. There we go. Oh, uh-oh. Darn, I should have used relaxed mode. That'll save me propellant. There's the moon. There's the Earth, sorry. Going out there, and the moon is coming along. There we go. We'll just put on null rot on this. We could totally do a barbecue roll, right? My favorite feature that they removed, like not crashing all the time. I disappointed that they never got around to robotics. I mean, they added some good stuff like procedural parts. That was very important. The procedural wings. First time catching. Hey, Caleb Brown 6735. Scott Manley KSP stream. It is not a KSP stream. It is a KSA stream. But thank you nevertheless. Kitten Space Agency. Still, yeah, very excited. Switch to manual in the orientation to avoid RCS while warping. It really affects frame rate while at high warp. 6-7. Hello from Ayrshire. Oh, wait a second. What the heck is going on here? That is us. We've come through. There we go. We're now transitioning into the frame of reference of the moon. Where's the moon? It's there. Why is retrograde not working? Let's just run time forwards a bit. I don't like the fact that that doesn't seem to be moving. Okay, it does show us actually moving inwards. That's good. Okay. Cool. Once you approach the moon, it turns out the moon is Scott Manley's head. I know there is actually a Scott Manley object in here, because if you do Celestial Info and you have the full solar system, there is Scott Manley, asteroid 33434, Scott Manley. Do I think New Glenn will do any polar launches? A very good question, because to do a polar launch, they might have to launch from Vandenberg. I don't think... okay, so... what I'm going to do is retrograde burn. There we go. We'll put ourselves into orbit. So let's try doing this. Let's try seeing if an automated burn can work, right? Right, so that'll be us captured into a rough orbit. So let's try... negative points away from the burn direction, and then I'll click automatic. There we go. I'm going to actually throttle to lowest throttle, and it gives us 16 hours. So let's try warping. Well, it's burning, it's wasting propellant. Oh no! I figured, Kitten Space Agency just makes sense from the point of view of K and Kerbal and Kitten both begin with the same letter, right? If somebody wants to replace it with realistic spaceships, you can totally do it. I think this thing is showing that the deep space part is working exceptionally well. I'm sort of hoping that the building will be a good. So that's really what I'm looking for, is some awesome building capabilities and the ability to mod stuff and have realistic spaceships. So once again, we are in the dark, like real stuff. Yeah, Capybara. This is Kitten Space Agency, for those who are not here. It is a... Somebody wants to make Kerbal Space Program, but they can't because the license is held by someone else. So they make Kitten Space Agency, which... has the word space in it, and it begins with the letter K, so, like, it's supposed to evoke the mastery, the magnificence. Okay, let's see what it says. Periapsis is there. Okay, we're good. So let's point retrograde, and we'll just use these engines. Great, so we can actually do this. So I'm going to fire the engines manually. So Eric Bongers, you know, there's another thing to learn. Think about it. How can you consider that when you're flying close to a planet and you're firing your rocket engines, you're coming out with more energy than you would otherwise have if you fired the engines in deep space. So where does that energy come from? Well, if you think about it a little more, what's happening is as you're firing those engines, slowing down the spacecraft, or speeding up the spacecraft, you're slowing down the rocket propellant and it's falling into the gravity well. So you're actually dumping mass into the gravity well to get energy out. It makes total sense. Time to periapsis. Time at periapsis? That makes no sense. 4.7 days. Time since okay. There we go. So we're going to fall down towards periapsis and then fire the engine again to get into a 100-kilometer orbit. Maybe there's some mode that lets us set this. Do you want me to take a look and see if there's a graphics change to add some ambient light? Let's take a look at graphics. Tone mapper, vessel ambient lighting. It should be there. I don't know how to do that. Textures. For kittens, fur quality. We have a fur quality setting for the kittens. I set some ambient light, so I don't know. Oh. Crikey, that may not be correct. Let's see what happens. Oh my god! Wow! Oh! Might have overdone it just a little. Let me go and tweak that a little. My god, it's full of stars. How do you adjust this? The only way I can see to adjust this is with a slider that goes to, like, is infinitely high precision. I had 100 there for a second. Okay, apply this. That's slightly better, I guess. Let's try. Did somebody say control click? Ah, there we go. Let's try 4. Okay, so now we have at least a hint of a spacecraft. I think that is what I'm going to go with, right? Oh, look, we have craters on the moon that are marked. Okay, so wait, we have 23 minutes before we get... 23 minutes before we reach Perilune, or Periselene. So we can call it Periaps, Perilune, Perimoon, Periselene. There's so many options. We should have set it to 42. "13 minutes. This is actually Best Day Brewing, and actually it's a non-alcoholic beer because I have to do stuff later. But, you know, it proves that I'm not just drinking beer to get drunk. Put it that way. Okay, so now we're closer to Periaps. I can fire the engines again, right? And that'll hopefully bring... Our apoapsis is up at 720 kilometers. See this? There. Oh, I should delete this maneuver. How do I delete this maneuver? Oh, did I click on it? That's it. I delete it. Delete burn. There we go. Some of the UI needs to be... The mission is just to, like, learn to play this thing. That's really what it is. I'm going to fire the engine again. Drop my apoapsis down to a circular orbit. Then we shall go and try to land on the moon. And hopefully we won't fall over this time. Unfortunately, we have some problems with relatively high thrust to weight ratio on this. So this is basically hover slam. You change throttle using the up and down keys. I wish you could set 1% throttle, frankly, because this is a thrust to weight ratio of 4:1. This is an actual game. It is not a Kerbal mod. It is an entirely new game engine which has been developed by these crazy people. Right? Why would I look at the control menu? So here we go. Let's take a look at this. There is the injector plate in the nozzle. Literally unplayable. That's it. It's ruined. I'm sorry. I quit. Come on. Well, I legally have to be, you know, somewhat have not. Yeah. Still, whatever. New Zealand can into space. Well, that's not good. Oh, I just accidentally hit F5, and it's like, oh, here, there's some more like flight plan stuff in here. I guess there's no way to save. Is there a way to save? Can I save this? Oh, save. Let's save this state. New. Lol. Okay, well, we're gonna get through this, right? I want to see the surface of the moon before I land on it. So we're just gonna enjoy flying over the surface. It's Kitten technology. Who needs a chamber? There you go. We could also point forwards in the orbit. Let's just do that. Let's point prograde so we can actually see the spacecraft a little better. So as I understand it, this is made of parts in their part builder, but their part builder is very limited at their time. Blackrack is involved. I don't know if he's actually introduced the volumetric clouds just yet, but the volumetric clouds he did as a mod, as a paid mod on Patreon, are frankly world-beating. They're fantastic. I'm totally landing on the moon. How many times have I landed on the moon? Right? I've lost count. Incidentally, have you ever noticed, well, have you noticed that Blue Origin, you know, they flew another spacecraft to space. That is yet another flight in which they totally failed to put something into low Earth orbit. Right? They sent it off to another part of the planet, to another part of the solar system. No, they did not put it into low Earth orbit. I have to check out Jupiter. I do. There we go. I think we need to turn the ambient light back off again. It's just... it looks too bright. That's it. This is what the thing looks like. Thanks about future official. I only just saw that statement about putting the ambient back to 1, so... Can I zoom into the ground when I land? As in, zoom the camera in... rather than arrive with great speed, as in zooming into the ground. Yeah, so Blue Origin, basically, by going straight from, you know, suborbital hops to interplanetary space, they're very much like those Metroid players who are, you know, skipping the bosses and doing them in the wrong order. It's like, oh, I gotta do this one first to unlock the technology. No, you don't. You just go straight to deep space, right? Yes, so there are actually... there's multiple camera views as well. And there is a free camera view as well. This is the surface-oriented view, orbit view. So anyway. This is probably what I want. Didn't they put it in a... Yeah, yeah, Jester Derek. You know, you may actually be correct there. You might actually be correct on that one, but they didn't spend very long in there. That was never the final destination, right? The vessel's collider is just a sphere. Okay, let's just run this forwards a bit. I'm going to run at least one orbit around the moon, hoping that we will actually see Earthrise. Because it would be a shame if we came all this way to orbit the moon and we did not, in fact, see the Earth rising. Will I play Metroid Prime 4? Is it going to be on PC? I highly doubt it. I have Metroid Prime Trilogy for the Wii, but right now the only HDMI adapters for my Wii just don't seem to work. I think I used some like HDMI adapter and just broke. There we go. Look at that. Now, how do we zoom in? No, is there a way to zoom the field of view and not the camera? Apparently not. I'm sure there's a way to do it. Look at that, though. I love Metroid Prime. I played, like, the original... I mean, Super Metroid, huge fan of. It is the best 16-bit console game, as in my mind. There's so much good about it. There's so much great level design. And then there's just enough glitches that there's so many ways to replay it and do crazy stuff. I'm holding Alt while scrolling and it's not adjusting the field of view. Maybe I'll do it. This is not Kerbal Space Program. This is Kitten Space Agency. So yes, we are going around and we're seeing this. We're going to have to watch the Earth set next. So that'll be the next one. Yeah, Kitten Space Agency, no relation to Kerbal Space Program, but certainly it borrows a word and a letter. Do the kittens purr? I do not know. Wait, what is that flash? That was just clearly the RCS thrusters doing something weird. Nice. Chrono Trigger is great, but I'm going to say it's not even the best 16-bit RPG because I think Final Fantasy 6 or 3 is superior. Chrono Trigger has some great mechanics, right? It has a great story. It makes absolute fantastic use of the Super Nintendo's hardware, but none of the characters are particularly well, like, fleshed out. I love the fact that Final Fantasy 3/6 has this massive cast of characters and they all have great backstories that are all sort of interlinked. Like, I love the fact that Shadow has this secret backstory that is only ever hinted at, and it can only show up if you sleep in the right place at the right time with the character, and the dreams show up, and you pitch these things together, and you kind of get the idea of who he is, and you figure out that he's the father of another character in the game. But it's, yeah, Final Fantasy 6 and 7, or 6, it was 3 in America, right? Because Final Fantasy 2 was Final Fantasy 4 and Final Fantasy 1 was Final Fantasy 1. And basically 2, 3, and 5 were never released in America back in the 16-bit era. There's so much... Final Fantasy 6 is by far my favorite Final Fantasy game, right? It is perfect in every way, and yes, it does have a few weird glitches and stuff, which makes for a pretty darn fun game. Is there going to be a red dwarf spaceship in Kitten Space Agency? I do not know. Now that you quit, I should just quit doing science content and start playing games again. Yeah, I think I might not want to do this. How am I doing? I am doing fine. Okay, so we are coming around the back, and we're about here. So I'm going to start... I want to land in a location on the Maria, right? So I kind of want to start here. So I'm going to point myself retrograde, and then we'll do a burn, and that will hopefully put us on the near side of the stuff. I've found a lot of broken stuff, but I haven't really shared. Yeah, EVE Online. So here's the thing you have to understand is that the reason I'm on YouTube, the reason I started making actual content on YouTube was because I thought I could get people to play EVE Online and using my referral link so that I could make get some free game time in EVE Online. Um, that was not the most noble thing to do. To make it go even a step further on this, the first videos I made of EVE Online was my daughter playing it when she was 4 years old, making a joke about how people that complain about the game being too difficult are clearly not knowing what they're talking about. so yeah, not only did I start out by basically being a referral thing to make money in the game, I started it by exploiting my daughter, which is really something frowned upon in these days. So I feel I have a whole bunch of apologies to make. So I'm going to use just the RCS thrusters here and use it slowly. Yes, Re-Entry just had its 1.0 release, and one of the things I like is the developer basically put out this video for like the road to 1.0, and he essentially said he had got to the point where he was ready to quit, ready to cancel, development until I made that video. I made a video like 6 years ago, and honestly at the time that video was kind of underperforming. I didn't think it was getting the kind of clicks that it deserved. I liked Re-Entry. I knew there was a few bugs and glitches here, but he said that video got enough people to look at the game that it made him want to continue and develop the 1.0. So I look at that now as being one of the most important videos I've ever made, right? It is so good, and I do love just firing up Re-Entry every now and then and just clicking through all the control sequences. So I might actually dig out and play some Re-Entry. There's the perigee. I'm using the RCS thrusters because I'm thinking that if I use the full power thrusters, we will go into the moon really, really fast. Red Dwarf is a highly recommendable science fiction comedy show. Turns out that science fiction comedy is actually a really rich source. I don't know. The idea, like, science fiction really lends itself to comedy, where you have an idea of something that's kind of ridiculous and just go with it. New Ivy album. I do not know anything about Ivy, so whatever. I did go and see Nico Case this week, which was, unfortunately, it was the same day there were massive Aurora Borealis being visible out throughout the US, and I had tickets to this thing, so I had to go and see that. And there was no visibility in San Francisco, so I was like, yeah. Do I remember Black Prophecy? I don't. Black Prophecy, wasn't that like an MMO? Okay, so we're down to 10 kilometers here. I don't think there's any terrain that low on the moon. Oh yeah, look, we got the sun coming up. Excellent. They're all dead, Dave. Everyone's dead. They are dead, Dave. Yeah. Yeah, Red Dwarf had, when it was great, it was some of the best TV of the era. It was really kind of, low quality, but that's, British television for you. Am I going to play Elite Dangerous anymore? Yes, I love to play Elite Dangerous. I just don't have the time to play all these games anymore. If I'm going to fire up Elite Dangerous, I might as well fire up a flight simulator and actually do some practice. I do a lot of instrument practice right now because I need to I'm still stressing over being able to talk to air traffic controllers. And, like, especially the last couple of months with the shutdown, it's like I have not wanted to give air traffic controllers any trouble because I didn't want to cause any, stress or whatever. I didn't want to be taking any of their time. They probably wouldn't have given it to me, but I didn't want to be relying on them. So flying IFR was just not on the table, so I just didn't do any training in the last couple of weeks. So I'm gonna It's not a GM. No, no, GM. You're misunderstanding why I have trouble talking to air traffic control. I know they're chill. I know they're chill. Uh, but I'm using Pilot Edge, and I'm getting there. And now that the shutdown is over, once everything's back to back to normal, I will totally go out and I will finish up my instrument rating. Fat Kid 6811, that I have posted a couple of small clips of me flying, but we are waiting on Pivotal's PR people to tell me what I have to pixelate out in the background of the factory. So there's a bunch of things that I wasn't supposed to show that I got footage of, so I need to fix that. So we are basically waiting on Pivotal. Last I heard 2 weeks ago, they were like, yeah, we're looking at it. We'll try to get right back to you. So, any plans for a new insert launch platform? What? What? What plane am I flying? I'm flying a plane called a WT-9 Dynamic. That is the plane I own. It is a two-seater light sport aircraft. It's all carbon fiber composite. It has a Rotax engine, a 9112 engine, which has 100 horsepower, and it is quite nice. It's very efficient. However, I'm doing my instrument training on a Cirrus SR20, which is very, very expensive, but it is also awesome. What do I think of gliders? I want to get a glider rating, so I want to get that. There is actually a guy called Scott Manley, no relation, who is a glider instructor. I have no idea who James Matthews is. Sorry. Okay, we get 15 minutes till we get over the landing site. I'm absolutely... So the commercial I've already asked about, and it turns out that I have all the stuff I need to basically go straight into doing a commercial rating. Because I've already done like the long cross-country requirements and everything else. There's a few things I need to actually do with an instructor, right, to log that. But I've actually logged almost all the training needed. I also need to get really good at the power off 180s in my little plane. There's multiple Scott Manleys on Earth. Yes. Anyway, what was I saying? I can't remember what I was saying. Ah! Yeah, I know. I'm totally going to get commercial as soon as and I'll be able to do it in my little light sport, because it used to be to do commercial, you needed to have a complex experience, which means you had to have like something that had retractable gear and a variable pitch propeller. But then they changed it to say, actually, technically advanced aircraft is now legal. And a technically advanced aircraft is anything with a glass cockpit and a 2-axis autopilot. I think there's a few other things. But it turns out that dinky little 100 horsepower Rotax engine plane that I have is a technically advanced aircraft. There we go. We're gonna start our deceleration, because we're coming out and we are now over the Maria. Yeah, apparently you can use your crappy plane for a commercial. Could you? Yeah, well, so my WT-9 in particular had this 2-axis autopilot that most of them never had at that era. It's able to like follow full like approach plates and everything. You can't charter a plane and have me on it. I don't think that's legal. Yeah. You certainly can't pay me because I don't have a commercial rating. And also I can't fly a commercial thing unless... I don't know. Okay, here we go. We're ready to start this deceleration. My ApoApps is 64. There we go. Okay, so now we're beginning our descent. And so actually what I need to do is do surface points away from surface relative velocity, right? So I'm going to slow myself down, 1.6 kilometers per second. Then you see this white marking here. I think I'm going to aim for about this. It's a real solar system, yeah. But you can have a scaled down version. They just want to. They're really wanting to test the technology with the hardest thing, which is a full size solar system. Because like Kerbal Space Program, it used single precision math, and that meant that the precision for surface interactions was kind of loose. When you scaled that up to a full size, then you would typically see them clipping through the floor because of the precision that was available at the time. Why is my speed not slowing down? Okay, actually, that's fine, actually. Oh, the original Kerbal Space Program is absolutely an essential game that everyone should get. I can fire up the engine a little faster. I mean, I could try and aim for that crater. Earth is weird that there's no cities on it. Of course, it's an Earth that has been taken over by the Kittens. I'm not sure the current status of N-body physics in Kerbal Space Program, but I do know that it's something that they need to have. I'm going to try and get into this crater here. There we go. Okay, so let's keep that engine. Hopefully gravity is starting to pull us down. There it is. Okay, so we are getting some descent here. Your browser can't play this video. Okay. KSP1 is better because it just has more mods. There's a few things about KSP2 that's nice, like in terms of the presentation and art and stuff. But yeah, it just it misses so much. Okay, so there, I can see where I'm aiming at this point. So that's kind of where I'm pointing right now. KSP2 was cancelled while it was in early access and therefore misses a lot of the promised features. It's very hard to recommend Kerbal Space Program 2, basically, given the problems. So just checking, the RCS thrusters are not sufficient to arrest my vertical speed. Yeah, I'm going to use RCS thrusters like this to do this. The RCS is very, very weak. I need to go back and play some more No Man's Sky. It's been a while. What I've been playing recently is Stellaris because they've added so many things to it, so many cool events, and there's just like... it's just so enjoyable to like come up with some bizarre thing that you want to build your empire around and try to make it happen. It really, at this point, Stellaris is not a strategy game. It's a role-playing game disguised as a as a what do you call it? As a strategy game. Here we go. Yeah, I have full, huge respect for the No Man's Sky developers basically sticking with their vision of, fixing everything that Sean said it was going to have. There's the landing. There's the shadow again. This already has like a lot of features on it. Play Spore. I've never played Spore, but I have Funny thing is, actually, I met Will Wright a while back, and he gave me a clock from a Soyuz that he wanted me to sign his Buran heat shield tile, and he gave me a clock from a Soyuz, so that's kind of neat. No Man's Sky has worked best when there's expeditions, when there's cool stuff. Like I got the Mass Effect, the Normandy. There we go. Okay, we landed. Yay! Have I ever considered an amateur radio license? I should. Yeah, Will Wright's a space nerd. Yeah, I got it. Let me see if I can find this box. Hold on. Let's pause this so it's not burning propellant because I have so little propellant, right? In here. Oh, this is going to be kind of hard to find. I get a box of random stuff here. It's random space stuff. Oh, you know what? Actually, it's not there because I took it into the... I see where it is. I took it to Lunar Field, who make these X-ray CAT scanning machines, right? And that was the clock I X-rayed. So I made a video a while back, if you watched it, about CAT scans and how X-ray scanners work to reconstruct three-dimensional models of interiors. And I did the whole thing where I recreated the algorithm. And the thing that I asked initially to put in the machine was this Soyuz clock. And I'm going to bring out... let me expand out the screen a bit. Nope. You know what? Let's just do this. Right, so yeah, this is a clock from a Soyuz. Right, and I'm not sure if it's a flown clock, but it has like all the features and stuff that you might expect. Makes a lot of ticking sounds and stuff. Very cool. And so that was a gift from Will. Which is nice. So Will's cool. He also apparently likes pinball and stuff. Yeah, SimCity guys, and so he did Spore, right? So anyway, yeah, the other thing I did was I gave them, because their scanner is capable of working at like 5-micron resolution, I asked them to scan a piece of heat shield tile which had been found in Texas. Now, we don't know what spacecraft it could have come from, but I don't know if anyone can think of a spacecraft that launches from Texas which has a bunch of heat shield tiles on it and that might be in the ocean. So whatever that is, we put that in a CAT scanner and we got like micron scale resolution imagery of the fiber structures inside it. I mean, like, you can't really come to any conclusions beyond noticing that it's like thicker at one side. So it was probably like made in the same way that they make cotton candy, where you have like something that's heated up and spun, so the fibers are spun out like that. So yeah, that's a video you should watch, because it has that clock and it has the heat shield tile. Nice stuff. So we should probably get this thing flying again, right? Curious Mark, yeah, I was with Curious Mark last week. We were sitting at brunch, myself, Curious Mark, and Mike Stewart and stuff, and we were running. Can we zoom into the ground? Yes, let's zoom into the ground to see how much detail there is. This looks pretty nice, I'm gonna say. There's no rocks on the surface, but it's decent. So anyway, yeah, we were at brunch and we were watching the new Glenn countdown before they cancelled it. Very disappointing. The eagle was planted. So what? I guess we should try going into a polar orbit, right? So now, that's something I'm going to have to fly manually. So, let's run time again. Hold on. It's there. No, that's what I want to do. There we go. There we go. Okay, so we got this mostly going upwards. 86 meters per second. Let's just leave it going. Wow, it's getting really spinny. What's my favorite 12-inch LP? Oh, that's actually a good question as to what my favorite 12-inch LP is, because I have a like, I don't know if you can see, but these are all records here, right? There's a huge. This is all vinyl. This shelf here is currently temporarily in my office. But I'm not sure what I would say my favorite LP is. Am I going to be able to get out of here? I might have to null rotate here for a second. I'm sure I'm going to be able to do it. We have altitude. It's just working very hard, apparently. Yeah, we have plenty of delta V. The main trick is to make sure I don't end up smashing into the surface. So apoapse is still 600 meters, so I'm making sure that rises. No, I'm intentionally leaving the throttle at 5% because it's more realistic. This thing could just go like warp power if you wanted. Do I know why my craft didn't tip over? Nope. I don't know why my craft didn't tip over. I'm still gaining altitude, thankfully. Yeah, the colliders are ridiculously basic. Let's keep this prograde orbit, see if we can actually get it. See if that actually gets us to orbit now. Just very slightly there. Apoapsis is not rising just yet. I might have to go back to manual and pitch up a little. Yeah, you see I'm now losing altitude because this is low thrust. This is the kind of thing that you experiment with, you know? Because again, I'm at 5% throttle. Because that's a far more realistic number. That should get us there. Hey, Real Vayome, thanks. I'm very glad to hear that people are inspired to go into aerospace because of my occasional musings. Because I just talk about it, and it's amazing to meet people that do it for real. And I was at the Space Gala a couple of weeks ago, and that was amazing. I was constantly meeting people that had, you know, these skills that had turned them into a career, and they were, you know, it was. Yeah, this random Scotsman on the internet just talking about spaceflight and being excited. Okay, we're starting to lose altitude again, so let's pitch this up just a touch. We're almost there. Thrusters, this is the lowest they will go. I'm pursuing realism rather than thrust to weight ratio. Okay, periapsis is finally about to go positive. This is still more thrust than the real spacecraft have. So 85 this will go up to 85 kilometers and then we'll turn around again. So yeah, at the Space Gala, I'm gonna say, you know, it's very much focused for women in aerospace and stuff. So it was absolutely great to have an event where it wasn't a bunch of old white dudes. I'll just say that. What's my spacecraft called? I don't know, Untitled Spacecraft? We should send this to the sun. It's kind of nice watching it, though, just skimming across the surface. Very nice. Look at, yeah, nice art there. A lot of detail in the models compared to like the Kerbal models, the early Kerbal models. I can't wait to see this just get expanded out. It's honestly, I'm just excited that there's so many modders that have been working at it. You think this build, I can't remember, I think I downloaded this last night and then I was told that I had to do other stuff. I have not heard of Periapsis Eclipse, piloted by Muppets. Actually, I might have heard about this. Meanwhile, let me go and see if there's an album here that I like that's a 12-inch. Okay, what have we got? Oh, look, this here, absolute classic, Cyndi Lauper, right? Come on, this is, she's so unusual, right? So, yeah. I mean, obviously this has, like, Girls Just Want to Have Fun, right? But the one that really has is Time After Time, which was not even, like, planned for the album. It was a last-minute thing. We have some Haydn, bunch of acetate. What's this? Elvis, I Got Lucky. This is what happens when you buy random stuff in vinyl stores. You're like, yeah, that's ridiculous. I have a bunch of 12 inches for like DJs and stuff. Wow, I have no idea what this is. Deep Purple, but it's not. Oh, look. Here's the soundtrack to the Ipcrest file. Can you tell that I'm a DJ that will buy basically anything? Oh. How about this? This is Don't Stop Jackin' to the Beat. Okay. This is an original 1986 Trax pressing, right, from Chicago. These were terribly low quality, but they were the foundations upon which house music was built. So this is Farley Jackmaster Funk. Give Yourself to Me, right? This is history. I get the Who Are You, Prince and the Revolution, Purple Rain, Star Wars soundtrack, London Philharmonic Orchestra. You got a bunch of like DJ collections. In Excess, Kick, you know, like Need You Tonight. That is just like, that's a dance floor number that people just dig in a big way. I actually have some like gramophone records. Ima Sumac. So yeah, I've got all sorts of classic stuff. I have all sorts of terrible stuff, but I just love this. Spot the 80s child. I'm totally an 80s child. I do have the golden record from Voyager somewhere. It may not be here. It might... Oh no, it's up there. I have the golden record right up there on that box. It's not the golden record, but it's the Ozma Records repressing of the stuff. So yeah, let's actually get this around to Apple Apps. We'll have to go to these places. We'll definitely have to go to these places. I might have to reload the game. I don't think there's any way to change it. So you'll have to bear with me. But actually, let's see if we can head into the sun. We've already beaten... That's right. I just went into deep space to grab this thing. Oh, I have the soundtrack to A Star Is Born, Chris Christopherson and Barbra Streisand. Like, again, you have to understand that I just have anything music I like, you know? I have a lot of really ravey hardcore techno stuff in here, right? I have like some like Reactivate Trance. I get Hybrid's Wide Angle album. This is a great one. Oops. Yeah, Wide Angle. That is a great album. It's like all breakbeat with, you know, just It's just so classy. I don't know. I just love the vibe. Anyway, what's this? This is... Oh yeah, that's more symphony stuff. Alison Moyet upstairs at Echo. You know, sorry, Alison Moyet and Yazoo. Got any Stay Up Forever? Probably not. Is that a ravey tune? So now we're in a polar orbit. That's the idea here. Is that I wanted to do something where the sunset will be sort of different. It's interesting that both the sun and the Earth are going to set here. There's the Earth setting. And the sun is set over there. Page up and page down for zoom. There we go. Okay, great. Well, it'll be super dark now. I don't know if Ministry of Sound ever released LPs. I know that Home did, and Fabric has released some stuff. Gatecrasher released some stuff. So these were the clubs that were like big around the turn of the century, right? 25 years ago, if you remember. When the future of music was all trance all the time. You have to understand that when the house music first came out, like, it was transformative. It was like, holy shit, this is the future of music. I mean, that's what it felt like for a, you know, a kid in the Scottish schools. Okay, so I can't... Any Death Grips? I don't, but my kids are huge fans of Death Grips. Okay, so... That's that way. So the sun should be coming up over here, I think. I might play some more streams because it just gives me a chance to chill out and play games. I had been doing it on Twitch for a long time, but frankly, I don't have any audience there. And this is nice because it converts better and I can interact with the people that are actually watching the rest of my content. There's the sun rising. There we go. And the earth rising. Minecraft. You know, actually... I've got to say, I have to credit Minecraft for getting me into Kerbal Space Program. Because the first time I saw a thread about Kerbal Space Program was on the Something Awful forums, and the title was, Kerbal Space Program, could this be the new Minecraft? It wasn't quite the new Minecraft, but it was the Kerbal Space Program. Actually, so Cyclone Red, the oldest astronaut ever accepted was 55, and so I'm still younger than that. Oh, and of course, the reason I was on Something Awful... Well, actually, the reason I finally, after years, paid for a Something Awful account was to try to get into Goonswarm. So I was what we call a J4G, join for guild. And it's terrible, but it's sort of, you know, defined who I am. I am not on 4chan. That is not my era. I'm not a Redditor. Okay, so we're just going to manually fly this again. So we're going to fire the engines and we're going to see where this takes us. Marshall Jefferson, yes! I got that one as well. But the one... So, Al-Yossarian, right? The tune that really kicked me off as a DJ was Steve Silk Hurley, Jack Your Body, right? And it wasn't me that found it. My dad heard it on a radio show, the Robbie Vincent Soul Show. And as soon as he played, like, we're like, we gotta rewind the tape and listen. We listened to that tape, like... dozen times. We just kept on rewinding it and playing it again. And So we listened to this, and then I don't know, a few months later, suddenly it was in the charts and it was #1. And I was like, wait a second, I'm cool. I knew about this before you filthy casuals. So yeah, that's what happened. It was when I suddenly realized that I could be cool. Oh, Destin, he's smart. He's got a lot of the relevant skills and stuff. He has a reasonable... He has a better chance than me. So here we go. So this will start ejecting us out, and then we should be going retrograde, so it should start dropping the perigee down towards the planet. And we'll just leave it there, maybe. So that'll be us coming up, and then we'll adjust this. Can you go to Titan? I might have to reload it. What I want to do, maybe, is go into heliocentric space. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to slow down, get down close to the Earth, and then we'll go to heliocentric space, and then we'll see if we can drop ourselves into the sun. And then we'll maybe reload this stuff, right? I have revisited re-entry a few times for sure. I can't right-click on this to keep it visible. Okay. So let's look at this. We'll just go off into space. We'll just watch it now. You know what? I am gonna just like null rotation. Just leave it like that so we're not having to constantly adjust attitude. And I'll do relaxed with larger dead zones. I have no I like Destin. He's cool. I understand why people want to talk about their faith. That's, like, totally normal. Right? You know, I'd rather have someone that's honest rather than someone that's just doing it because they think that they need to do it to get acceptance from some community or something. You can be both, right? I mean, you have to remember, like, when I was at Armagh Observatory, when I was actually being paid to be an astronomy postgraduate, Armagh Observatory was run by the Church of Ireland. So technically, I worked for the church. And we would occasionally have these public functions where the astronomers would sort of hang out with all the bishops and everything. Yeah, and also because, you know, it was Ireland, we got to know Father Ted. Guess I'm just letting this thing spin crazily. Yeah, this is my kind of barbecue roll. Multiple axes. We have 8 hours. Okay, so I'm going to have to get... Once we get close, we'll turn it... You should totally watch the documentary. Like, house music, as I said, I understand that it is dumb music to fill dance floors. But it has its own culture, right? And it's a culture that basically suddenly made me cool. I wish I could show you the tunes that I played at the Space Gala, but I can't, unfortunately, because of, you know, content ID and everything. So sorry, I'm having a gummy, a vitamin gummy, because it's here. Okay, I'm just letting this thing get myself pointed in the right direction, and we're gonna fire this engine, and we're gonna fire at 100% thrust finally. Here we go. I'm going to fire myself out into space. Look at that. Bang! Into deep space now. The problem is that's going the wrong way. So now, relaxed. Null rotation. And we're going to head out into space again. We're going to fall into the sun. The whole thing about dance music is that it has a very simple tempo, so it's actually easy to dance to it. You just sort of shift your butt, you know, 120 beats per minute. Like, if you take somebody and you bump them, they'll wobble back and forth a bit, and typically the rate at which the body kind of wobbles is about, you know, the tempo of dance music. It's kind of funny. We just basically chose the simplest possible way of doing things. So I'm going to get somewhat distant from Earth. And then we're going to point retrograde. Okay. I don't know what hard base is, but I would imagine it's sort of like, you know, a bit like Gabber, maybe. So there we go. Full thrust. We're now going to drop down towards the sun. So this is with 100% thrust, right? So we have 30 kilometers per second to get rid of here. Notice how fast the delta V is ticking down here. I've never heard of Kitten. Bonkers. I know Bonkers exists, but no, I've never listened to it out of choice. I used to listen to John Peel, however. And John Peel would regularly drop some, like, crazy gabber, happy hardcore stuff, and then he'd play some country and western and some death metal, and I was there for all of that. This is not as good as Kerbal just yet, however, it is more technically capable than Kerbal's, like, base engine. Therefore, this is where the future of spaceflight simulators will be. It has all the features. We're not quite infinite fuel. We only have 1,300 kilometers per second of delta V. So, you know, like 4% of the speed of light. Yeah, John Peel, like the Peel sessions all came from John Peel. And he would just be a DJ. He'd come on at night and he would play whatever the heck he wanted. And sometimes he'd play it at the wrong speed and apologize. And sometimes he'd realize that it sounded better when he played it at the wrong speed. Go on to YouTube and look for, like, old John Peel shows, and you will be full of music which is absolute joy. Some of it's painful, but it's generally pretty joyous. We're going to the sun. Don't worry, we're gonna go at night. Oh, there's my speed. 11 kilometers per second. No, we need to go slower. AKA Harvester. I get that reference. Hey! Unfortunately, I accidentally loaded it with only the Earth and the Moon and the Sun. So I'm going to need to go back in. This man changed my life. Let's be clear. Okay, we're down to 3 million kilometers. We're going to get it below 1 million kilometers from the sun. So there were 2 million. Like, this is, again, ridiculous thrust available here. 900, 800, 700, 600. I think this is a good number. 300,000 kilometers? Yeah, 1 light second from the sun. So now we should null rotations, and we can see... Unfortunately, because of the nature of things, we're going to have to just watch this fall. I hope the Earth doesn't run into me. That would be unfortunate. Let's see where this goes. We might fall back into the Earth's SOI. I guess not. We're going to miss it. But this is us. We're going to fall down. So we have our altitude here, falling towards the sun now. There we go. We're doing like 1 day per second here. Oh, is there a way to reload the whole thing, the solar system, without reloading the game? Look at that. There we go. We'll do this. You can zoom in a little as well. That's a look. Okay, we are hours away from perihelion. It's about to get toasty. It is extraordinarily toasty here. I'm surprised I can't get a nice little perfectly black outline here. It's just too bright. That's right. Sunshine, right? That's not right. It should be melting. Oh. I thought we said we'd go at night. I lied. It's night somewhere on the planet. Right? It's like when I share a tweet and it's like still in dark. It's not in dark mode. That happens. There, that's us. We're on our way out. I mean, if you want, I could like burn prograde or something. There, let's go prograde strict. Fire that engine again. Look, we can barely see it. Firing our engine, and now we are of course headed off into deep space. This is what you call an Oberth flyby or fryby. This is how you capture interstellar comets using minimum amount of propellant. Anyway, I think let's go and take... There's a way to get into debug and reload things. Or do I just have to reload the entire game? This is also... Yes, set. There is a Linux section, yeah. Okay, mods, constant simulations, controls. Oh, no. Discard. Graphics. I don't know. Yeah, I think I'm just going to reload the entire thing. Because it's going to just take too long to actually, you know, take advantage of this. Still, it's going to be nice to watch this as we disappear into deep space. We'll actually burn our propellant down to 0. Which is nice that you can actually do this. Our speed is now 500 kilometers per second. Like, we're totally doing the Epstein drive thing. I don't know if... You want to see if there's a sun surface in this game? I think I might have missed my opportunity. Yeah, I'm going too fast to slow down. So, let's actually shut this down. We're going to reload things, right? We're going to try and reload it to see if there's some other stars and planets and stuff, right? Okay, the Epstein drive. Yes, Solomon Epstein, don't you know? He's the guy that invented the propulsion system used in The Expanse, right? No relation to Brian Epstein. Okay, solar system. We got it now? There we go. Oh, and it crashed. Yay. Okay, so it might be that OBS is using too much in the way of memory. I might have to shut down some stuff here and there. I'm not sure. Let me close a bunch of windows, because you can also find that sometimes that things like your desktop and stuff are just taking too much memory. One more try. But otherwise, actually, I should probably be chilling out and doing some other stuff. 360p in stream income. No. Nope. Okay, we'll try this again. One more time. If I can't get this loaded, I might have to shut down the stream and come back later. And it's gone. Well, so much for that. That's just the nature of things. Tragedy. I have 64 gigabytes of memory, but my graphics card only has like 8. Oh, okay, I'll maybe try that. Did I miss a setting there? Okay, let me take a look. What settings? Textures. Let's do 8K textures. Right? Okay, unlimited. Sure, let's try that. Shadows, 16 megabyte. I don't know. I don't know if that's going to matter. I think it's the textures are the big thing. Let's reduce these to 4K textures, right? Try it now. Yeah, but I have 64 gigs of memory on this computer. Right? My graphics card is the main problem. This is a 3070, so it's just kind of what we have to live with. Okay, so let's take a look at the map. Do we have... We have everything. You know what we have? We have planets. We have minor planets. We have moons. And we have Scott Manley. Here. Look at that. Zoom, 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 zoom. Zoom, zoom, zoom. That's not an accurate copy of me. It should have a face. So I'm wondering, can we actually set course for this? I'm actually really interested. Do I... Hold on, view... It was a 3070 base model that we bought like during COVID, and so rare to need more. Okay, so let's take a look at Scott Manley Atlas, whatever, asteroid. I forget. Wait, how do I do the calculations again? View, universe, speed vessels, autopilot. Transfer planner. Okay. I might have to source rocket. I see rocket destination. Oh, so I have to pick. Let's just try to get out to Jupiter. Let's try that. Maximum time of flight. I don't care. Set target. Calculate. This is totally supposed to be the game that will finally replace Kerbal Space Program. The thing is, Kerbal Space Program is exceptionally useful for me still, because I can build spacecraft occasionally because I need something. Like, oh, I need something that looks like a nuclear-powered jet engine missile. Okay, I'm gonna create that. Okay. Preview select. Okay, we got that. Aha, that's the target. Now, wait a second. Do we have... Here's my burn. Okay. I can set that. It tells me it'll burn 47 seconds in 6 months. Let's just warp. Let's see what happens. I don't know if it's going to work. I might want to set null rotation until then. 5 months to go. Warning! Warning if you're the kind of person that's sensitive to flashing things. Whee! Look at this. I love it. I like how I just zoom out and it becomes the map. Right? There's no difference here. Oh no, I'm wasting kilometers per second of fuel every day. Yeah, I'll do this. That might save... no, that's even worse. Let's turn on null rotation. There we go. Okay, I'll have to zoom back in now. I'm getting ready to make that burn. Let's see how well it handles it. This is what I'm curious about. Wow, this is really, really concerning. $10 hours! 10 hours to go. We're getting there. We're 2 hours to go. Okay. There's plenty of influencers who have already killed themselves while flying on, like, paragliders and things like that. There was just a month ago, there was a Chinese guy who was flying this little ultralight, you know, helicopter that he bought and built himself. Like, he bought it on AliExpress. And, yeah, it fell out the sky and killed him. Okay, let's set strict attitude control here. I want to make sure we're pointed in the right direction. Let's see what happens. I think it's going to drive us straight into the ground by the looks of things. Because I don't think it understands that I am around the planet Earth. It's just going to burn me straight into the planet. I should have probably gone into... I think I'm just going to cancel this. Cancel this. Because otherwise it's just going to dive me into the planet. Gravity confirmed. Focus on the rocket. Let me go out into deep space first, right? Let me go prograde. That's where the prograde is. Otherwise it would be pointing straight into this planet that was below me, which is kind of frustrating. Once I've escaped into space, we'll ask it for a transfer. Okay, so now at least we're escaping. Yeah, look, that departure looks really suspect, so I'm going to recalculate it. So I should probably clear this burn. Delete burn. Oh yeah, we need a little more thrust here. Control rocket. There we go. We'll get out into deep space and we'll do it again. I didn't know that... Yeah. There's a... if it's a giant quadcopter, it's probably not legal for sale in the US, I'll say that. That's us coming out. We're probably not too bad in terms of escaping to go to... Press manual on the top left button of the auto. What? Oh yes, for activate. No, I'm just letting it spin. I don't care. Okay. Okay. You know who also died in a paragliding accident is Felix Baumgartner. He died just recently. His canopy collapsed and he failed to recover and, you know, smashed into a hotel. Okay, so now let's try again doing a transfer planner. We're gonna calculate it. It should come up very soon. That seems very odd that it hasn't popped anything into my burn system. Oh, destination. No, let's go to Jupiter, actually. Yeah, sure, let's do that. Why does it not give me a burn this time? There is already a mod that does that. Oh, interesting that apparently we already have a transfer that gets me kind of to Jupiter. You know what? If I go prograde, I bet you I'm going to get pretty close to Jupiter as it is. I bet this will get me, because it was pretty close to the time. So if I just burn prograde, I bet you it puts me pretty close to Jupiter's sphere of influence. Will I play re-entry? If you guys will watch re-entry, sure, I will play it. Look at that, we got to Jupiter. Gonna throttle down a little before I fire the engines again. So I guess I gotta zoom in here. No, that's not what I wanted. Delete burn. Delete burn. There we go. Is there a way? I want a way to keep these perigee or perihelia, periaps showing up. I didn't need the transfer planner. I was already lined up pretty well. There we go. That's pretty good. Okay, it's telling me I need to stand up. Okay, so now let's take the transfer planner out. Let's take this out. Let's add some prograde. We'll slow down here. Oh, there we go. Yeah, wingsuits, you know, I see people doing stuff in that I would certainly never want to do, and I do some crazy stuff in jets and planes like that. Okay, that's pretty good. So we're just gonna do this. So, positive. But actually, what I probably want to do is null rotation. I want to set to auto. And I want to burn a warp to it, right? There was a mod that used to have Kerbals in wingsuits, which I thought was cool. So there's my rocket coming in. There's Jupiter there. Nice that I get this, like, cool barbecue roll actually working in this case, which kind of makes sense. We'll go into actual control burn once we get within a minute or so. There should be no floating point errors like the Kraken. Famous last words is all I can say. Let me tell you, as someone that used to write numerical integrator code for some really hairy orbital mechanics problems, there is always room for the Kraken, right? There's always places where the Kraken will get you. This is Kitten Space Agency, not Kerbal Space Program. Entirely different game, indeed. There should be Doggo Space Agency. Yes, there should be. There should be two competing games and they should fight it out to see which wins. Yeah, barbecue roll is something that the Apollo spacecraft did to basically control the thermals. So they would rotate all the time. And this was only the Apollo spacecraft that were en route to the moon, because the ones that were in low Earth orbit, they would actually hold a more constant attitude because they were docked to the Skylab. So you can always tell a Skylab command module because instead of having the silvered back surface, it has like a white surface and a grey surface to account for the different thermal, properties. Yes, it's an entirely different type of flying altogether. It's an entirely different type of flying. Let's view Celestial Info Rocket. So it should tell us that we now have our periaps. So this is us pulling ourselves down, and then we'll overshoot. Oh, I've got 5% throttle. I should fix that. Yeah, it looks like there's a lot going on. So what I should probably try to get to is I/O. I want to get to I/O. I like the idea of I/O. So let's do a transfer planner again. Transfer planner. So I'm going to delete this burn. Home, source, destination. Oh, wait a second. Why is the... Can't I do a transfer planner to I/O? I'm around this. I am Rocket, right? Yes, it's Rocket. Well, I guess I'm going to try and figure this out myself. So first things first, we shall fire retrograde, and then I'll do this. Oh yeah, let's. Maybe actually, hold on. Can I target this? View. How do I target again? Universe. Rendezvous control, flight planner, transfer planner, orbit lines. How do I target an object that's not... Oh. Yeah, there we go. We want this to come down near to IO. I'm just going to do this. So it is a custom engine. Okay, so next, when we cross the plane, we're going to do a plane correction burn. So I'm aiming for about there, right? I'm just going to eyeball this, okay? Because I can't figure out how to use the transfer planner to go to... Oh, well, that's null rotation again. So I'm just going to watch it come up. This could take a while. Actually, I guess I could just put a maneuver in about here, right? That's what I'll do. Edit this maneuver, and then normal. There we go. I'm just eyeballing this. I'm going to get to IO without using any of the fancy controls. We got a 2.5 kilometer per second burn to get down here. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, so now I'm going to set auto, going to set warp, and then when we get close, we're going to do this. So I don't know if it has textures. It's the place that I want to go. I know my throttle is at 22%. I want more realistic thrust. I am not a follower of the Epsteins, right? Epstein hasn't invited me to his thrust party. Does that make sense? Boy, I'm going to get murdered for that one, right? Epstein has not invited me to his thrusting party. Oh, God. Oh, what was I thinking? You guys have to know the Expanse. I didn't know. I was trying to make the YouTube thing work. I'm sorry. It's complicated. It's, you know. 4, 3. Okay, there we go. Oh, look, it automatically selects prograde for me. Great. Auto warp stopped. Fire that engine. Go on. So this will be a 13-second burn here. Excellent. Oh, God, it's so perfect. I like doing the manual burn, but, you know. Okay, so now we've got IO here. I still need to way to target IO. There must be a way to do this. Maybe if I select home in again, it'll now realize that I'm orbiting. Nope, it doesn't know. Turn off set target. Turn off the sun. Let's delete that burn. How do you select bodies? Sol. Jupiter. Io. Okay. That doesn't do anything. Great. Well, anyway, let's do a retrograde burn here. You understood that reference? So actually, I'm going to get there slightly ahead. Actually, maybe, yeah, let's do this, because I think I'm going to get there. I'll just do that, and then we'll figure out where I am, and then if I need to adjust things. We're just going to eyeball this again. So, once again, auto. And again, I'm going to null rotation and warp and see if it does it for me magically. Shift and left click for the target. Okay, let's try that. There's IO there, so we're actually ahead. That's good. Ah, excellent! So it's ahead of us, so we're actually in a decent orbit here, because we're in a slightly lower orbit, and therefore we're going to catch up. Now, does it tell me anywhere the inclination where I need to make inclination changes? There's AN, AP. So it's about to make this burn. Come on. There we go. There's the engine. There. And once again, we have to comment. Let's do the time warp again. Why is N-body bad for gameplay? Funny M, what are you talking about? Don't make statements like that if you have no clue. Okay, but I will point out, this is terrible for gameplay. Why have you got an injector plate where the throat should be on a rocket engine. That makes no sense. Like, what were you thinking? Patched conics is fine for stuff, but it doesn't solve. It causes all sorts of problems. Delete that burn. Okay. So now, null rotation. So we should just be able to run around this orbit, right? So this number is 15,000, 156, and when we come around again, will it reduce the number? I would have thought that it would update by now, but apparently not. Okay, so how are we doing in terms of... Oh, so the AN is my ascending node, I think. That would make sense, because I see it here, AN. So, I'm going to stop this here. And set a burn, which will be not negative on the normal. So push my orbit together. So I'm just going to eyeball this. So there we go. Line these things up a little better. Brilliant. Okay. So we're going to adjust our ascending node there. And since we're slightly outside Io's orbit, I think I'll also add a prograde burn to lift my orbit up so that Io catches up with me. And I encounter Io and smash into it right there. Good job. Okay. Auto warp. Yeah. You know, one of the hardest things to do is a pile of sand. Simulating a pile of sand is ridiculously complicated. You know what's also difficult and complicated in terms of physics is simulating a cloud of water droplets. So, like, simulating how a... whatchamacallit? How, like, a flame diverter works with water cooling is actually ridiculously complicated. Honey, yeah, highly viscous liquids become much more difficult. And I've just got a phone call from my other half. I may have to take this. Pardon me for a second. Okay, yes, I did need to get milk and stuff. So I'm actually just thrusting. It's nice that I got an impact which was gonna actually hit Io, but I'm gonna fix that just a bit. So I'm just firing the engines prograde, firing the little RCS thrusters prograde. I should also kill this thing. Delete burn. There we go. So this is me just adding enough speed that I arrive at Io at a slightly different time. And I could obviously fire the main engines, but those are incredibly powerful. You can read lips. Yes. So anyway, I'm not sure what else to do. No, I need milk for my coffee. Which, I've got some coffee here. I guess I'm entering retrograde orbit. The main thing is I don't want to hit the planet. I should have maybe gone the other way. I'm making like minimal changes here. Are you a sim? No, I am not a sim. I am not a simulated person. I'm a real person, a real life human person with blood. This is taking a while. Yeah, I was in Boston a couple of years ago and they had like Dunkin' Donuts coffee that was alcoholic. I am also an asteroid, yes. Oh yeah, I could do time acceleration here, right? That would help. Look at this, time acceleration while thrusting. Oh, that missed. That's not great. Maybe I need to do this instead. I thought maybe I just need to wait until I get close and flip this thing around. Okay. Whatever. Look, we're gonna get here, and then I'm gonna. We're just gonna fly around and we'll see what happens. Let's do null rotation again. Obviously, the last thing I want to do is actually leave time warp running when I fall in close. I'll actually see. Can I see the planet from here? Oh wow, it's like right there! This is Kitten Space Agency, which is a whole bunch of really good math and video game engine stuff that is accurately reproducing the physics of orbiting Jupiter and trying not to collide with Io. Yeah, look, this is why I barely got in. It was like so sensitive. No wonder I couldn't escape. Okay, now I'm going to change my orbit here. So first of all, let's do this. Delete this burn. What I want to do is do behind on this. Actually, I want to do ahead on this orbit, right? So, oh, my time. So this should point me horizontal to the surface, right? And then I can actually go into a proper orbit here. See, if I choose prograde or retrograde, it'll point me along this green vector, but if I do ahead or behind, it'll point me perpendicular to the surface, which is a good angle to be. There we go. Finally! That's what I was looking for. I mean, we already have some challenges that we should do in this, is like visit all the SOIs using the least amount of delta V. I'm just happy I'm going to get into orbit around Io. There we go. This is actually becoming quite nice to watch. So null. So we're going to fall down. There we go. Yeah, somebody said Io didn't have any textures. It looks like it has textures. Look at that. Beautiful. It even has casting shadows on Jupiter there. You don't like the nav ball. I could totally see why the nav ball needed some work. Interstellar KSA quest, definitely something would be considered. I want to see volcanoes though. It doesn't have textures up close. You mean if I land on it, it just disappears? So I saw a paper the other day where they're now doing, like, what do you call it? adaptive optics in what do you call it? Invisible light, and so they're doing adaptive optics on Io, and they can now do this from ground-based telescopes. They can see the same, roughly the same quality, not the same quality, but they can see details that show the evolution of the volcanoes, and they were able to check it against data that was returned from Juno. So it looks like ground-based telescopes can now periodically check for changes on the surface of Io, which is nice. I don't know what the name of the paper is. Do you think I know these things? So that's on the surface. Okay. Delete this burn. Let's land this sucker on the volcano. I gotta also get up and do, like, family stuff. So we're orbiting at 1.7 kilometers per second. We'll see what happens. There may be no detail as I get down to the surface of this. I'm totally going to land this. I'm also using 5% throttle because this is much more accommodating. You might have missed... I've done a couple of game streams, but not on YouTube. I've done streams on Twitch, right? You think I can aim for a volcano? No, I gotta do more thrust. I gotta do maximum thrust. Actually, I just realized I can... I've got a head. Got a null rotation, right? I'll aim for this big lava lake here, right? And then I think you need to go up, down. I think I need to go anti-normal. Let's try normal. We'll see where... I want to push this node upwards. You know, the Twitch audience is kind of a hard thing. There we go. So we're going to put it into this lava lake here. Or at least I'll put it in this... I'll try to land it in this thing here. So again, this has a thrust to weight ratio of 61, which is kind of high. Okay, so now I'm going to point backwards because I'll be using surface reference motion. Oh, I just realized that I had it on 1/10 simulation speed. That's why it was taking so slow. I think my Twitch thing doesn't let me dual stream, so... At this point, I might say cancel Twitch completely. So we'll see if this actually gets me down. Like, I expect that this just turns into just a complete mess when I get close. There'll be, like, no modelling of the surface. They may have got rid of the dual streaming policy block a while back, but I don't know if my particular version does that. Alright, can I bridge the connection between... Yeah, they need to have some Rocket Lab stuff in there. Actually, hold on. At 900 meters per second, 1G deceleration. I think, yeah, so I need to just fire the engine closer to like 50 kilometers. So we're not going to see a particularly beautiful surface here. It's just the nature of things. So there we go. That's probably decent. If we need more thrust, I have it in reserve. Can I smell the rotting egg smell yet? No. What are you talking about? What I can smell is the smoke from my laser cutter that I got given, or laser engraver that I got given a few days ago. Using it a lot. Oh, the sulfur. Yeah, but no, you only get it with, if it was with oxygen, hydrogen sulfide. You'd have to get the right combination of things. Might be going a little fast. Let's throttle this up a bit. Now I'm going to. Now I'm doing fine. Okay, so I gotta make sure. Okay, gotta do up. I'm using the RCS to try to make sure I'm not going sideways too quickly. So now I'm going to select up. I wish the speed and the altitude were like close to each other. Do we have a surface? Hold on. There's my shadow. That helps. I've landed on Io soon. I've got no like idea what my lateral motion is. There we go. Ta-da! Okay. Good old engine bell landing. And we landed on the island, on Io. So that's great that we've got all these other things in the solar system. I do have to kind of shut things down, though. So I am gonna I'm gonna say goodnight. We still have textures. We have something. I just really wanted to just chill out and play, Kitten Space Agency. It really is. At least technically, it's great that the math didn't fall apart. This is totally a Grand Tour ship, so I should try and come up with a solution to go to all the spheres of influences. The SOI. Can you walk? I don't know if there's a way to get out of the surface. There is, by the way, like if you come... hold on. There, there is a cat, by the way. So I can point behind. So you can see the cat. Come on. There we go. Here, you can see the cat revealed in dramatic da da da. Wah, wah. Okay, no, that was supposed to be a cat meowing. Sorry. Oh, it's totally possible to lift off again from the surface. F2 to hide HUD. There we go. Look at that. I can't really do cat sound effects. My daughter can. I have lots of cats here. Look, I mean, it's a nice model. I'm not sure. I think it's a distinct spaceship at this point. Like, this space backpack is actually a more realistic version of the backpack compared to what Kerbal had. Oh, like they actually have 3 fingers and a thumb. There we go. Okay. Well, anyway, I'm gonna slow this thing down. I'm gonna say goodnight. I'm gonna say fly safe. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for everything. Thanks for your donations. It's very much appreciated. I may be doing more of it depending how well this does, but we'll see you around some other time. Until then, I'm of course Scott Manley. Fly safe. This is how I used to do it. My thing's in the wrong place. Fly safe.